When you're entering into a mediation session, the idea is I want to come out with an agreement. So I would say the worst thing you can do is go in there with, all spit and vinegar and all angry and know that it really angers my spouse if I'm going to complain about his golf club collection. So if I'm going to go in there and right out of the box and say, what about his golf clubs? That's a mistake. Mediation is not a therapy session. Mediation is not a, let me tell you all the reasons why I hate my spouse. Mediation is, let's make use of our money. Let's make use of your time, our time, and let's get this done. Again, it's not a therapeutic session. We will help you with things in order to get along with each other after the process is done with us. We will absolutely give you tips and give you ideas and things what to do. To think of mediation as this is going to be 3 to 4 hours of everybody's time where all I'm going to do is complain about my ex is a complete waste of time, money, resources, and will be absolutely counterproductive to the entire process. Old school style of negotiation has always been, I'm going to ask for the moon and the stars because I know I'm going to settle for the sidewalk. That's not a productive way to come into mediation, because when you're coming into mediation asking for the moon and the stars, then the other side constantly feels like they're on the defensive. And that's not good. It's good to try to do this and to come into mediation with realistic goals. If you get a little bit more than your realistic goals, great. If you have to give up some of your unrealistic goals, then that's okay too, because the point is you've gotten out and it's a reasonable deal between the parties. What you don't want to do is come in extraordinarily aggressive and say, I want everything. Because the answer from the mediators, our trained mediators, and we will answer that question, they would say, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You basically are asking the other side to give up everything. You are wasting everybody's time. What are you doing here? What is the point of this? And that's a very powerful thing when you think about it. Because if you're coming into mediation with the goal of settling a case, you don't want to come into mediation that I'm not going to be satisfied unless I get everything. Why would the other side agree to give you everything? And it just sets us back. We're wasting time. We're wasting money. Let's figure out the best way to get this done. You're not going to get everything, but you're not going to get everything no matter what you do. It's just the way the law works. You're never going to get everything. Mediation is all about what is reasonable, what can I expect, what is reasonable, what can I live with, and what is the best outcome for me? How do I take control over my life and these decisions in my life in the cheapest, most cost-effective, easiest way possible that's not going to destroy me emotionally? When it comes to custody mediation, the biggest mistake that people make is to think of the child, and forgive me for this, but to think of the child as property, that the child is my property and I'm letting you take my property. That is a terrible mistake. Children are little people, and both parties had willingly decided to have this little person or little people in their lives. The child's entitlement is what we need to think about from the perspective of the child. The law looks at the children as having an entitlement of their own, and that entitlement is to be parented equally by both parents. So if somebody is taking the position that the child is mine and I will only let you have the child on certain days, is completely ignoring the rights of the child. It's your job as parents to secure the rights of the child. It's your job as parents to make sure that these children have valid and good relationships with both parents. And quite frankly, if you can't get past that and you can't see that, then maybe you're the one who needs to kind of step out of this a little bit and take a long, hard look in the mirror. Speak to a parenting coach. Speak to other people that have been through divorce. The absolute worst mistake you can make is to weaponize your child. And I will say this, in all my years of experience, Most parents do not realize when they're doing it that they are weaponizing their child, that they are putting their child in the middle of these disputes, even little snippy remarks that they might say, like, oh, your father didn't pack your lunch, little things like that. How difficult that is for a child to be torn between two parents and to have a child's loyalty tested is horrible. You are 100% hurting your child. So how do you stop hurting your child? First of all, you have to realize you're doing it, number one. Number two, you have to understand it from the perspective of the child, that the child has a right to be parented and to have peace with both parents. Once we get through that, then we can fashion a parenting time plan that's going to work for two parents, that's going to work with if there's extended family, if the child has special needs or the child has a gift that we need to really work with. The child needs a special coach for their sports. We have to get to that, but before we can get to that, we have to, number one, stop weaponizing the child, and number two, recognize that the child's entitled to peace as well. If you have any questions about mistakes to avoid in mediation, please feel free to take a look at any one of our videos, or feel free to give us a call, send us an email, and schedule a consultation.